Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello dear students, welcome to another lecture. So we are doing the drama of class 9th alternative English, which is The Tale of Ivan the Fool. We have read and explained to you the first and the second scene, and now we will move on to scene 3. So the narrator introduces to us the scene 3 by saying, "What rich gifts Ivan received from the imps." So he exclaimed, he was very surprised, and he said that just look at the kind of gifts that he had received from the 3 imps. Narrator 1 says, "Yes, but being a fool, Ivan did not understand its real value. He did not know about them, and until the night of the dinner he gave after the harvest." So, Ivan had almost forgotten about his gifts and he remembered them only on the dinner, that he had given, that he had hosted for the other peasants after the harvest. Harvest, we all know, when a farmer cuts his crop. So after the harvest, Ivan had hosted a dinner for all the people of the village, and it was then when he remembered about his gifts. Narrator 2 says, "But if his brothers knew about the gifts he had, they would be a sure threat, for they would know their value." So the second narrator said that yes, that is fine, but if his brothers would get to know about the gifts, they are going to trouble Ivan because they understand the value of these gifts. Narrator 1 said that not realizing this, Ivan proudly displayed his magic charms to the guests at his dinner. So Ivan was not aware of it. He was such a simple-minded man that all these things did not come to his mind. And he, with a lot of pride, he showed these magical tricks to the guests at the dinner. So at Ivan's house, there was a soft music which was playing as the guests danced around in pairs. 2 women are seated separately at a table. Ivan joins the group of dancers for a while, then noticing the women sitting aloof from the rest, he goes to them. So, there was Ivan's house. The scene is now of Ivan's house. There was a soft music playing and the people were dancing. There were 2 women who were sitting separately, who were sitting aloof from the rest. They were sitting alone, separated from the rest. So Ivan first, he joined and danced with a group of dancers for some time. But then when he saw those 2 women sitting alone, he joined them. Ivan asked them, "Why aren't you ladies joining the dance?" So he asked, "Why don't you join?" One of the ladies looks at her companion, who remains downcast and silent. She then turns to Ivan, who still awaits an answer. So there was 1 woman, 2 women were sitting. So the first woman, when she heard what Ivan had asked them, she looked at the second woman who was still downcast. She was very sad and she remained quiet. She then looked at Ivan, who wanted an answer for the question he had asked. The first woman said that her son went looking for work in the city and is not back yet. She is worried about him. So the first woman told Ivan that her son, he had gone to the city to find work for himself, but he has not returned back home, and that is why she is so worried. Ivan turns to the other woman who is still silent. Hearing this, Ivan looked at the other woman who was silent. He said, "Don't worry, he will come back soon." The woman remains unmoved. "Meanwhile, let me show you some magic tricks to cheer you up." He turns to someone in the crowd. "Get me a few leaves from the oak tree." One of the women in the crowd brings some oak leaves. Taking them in his hand, Ivan utters the magic chant. All the leaves new and gold turn to gold, turn to gold. So, he told the lady who was sad that don't worry, your son will be back home soon. But the woman was still not moved. He was still sad and he did not react to it at all. Ivan said that, okay, I am going to do some magical tricks to cheer you up, to make you happy. He told somebody who was there in his house in the crowd to bring to him some oak leaves. So there was a woman who brought to him some oak leaves. He took those oak leaves in his hand and he chanted the spell that the imp had taught him. All the leaves, new and old, turned to gold, turned to gold. And the moment he chanted this magical spell, the leaves that he had in his hand, they turned to gold, and everybody looked at it in wonder and excitement. So they were, yes, surprised, but they were also very excited when they saw so much of gold in front of them. Even the woman who was sitting at the table, who was worried about her son not having returned from the city, even she developed an interest in it. And then Ivan asked them, have you ever seen anything like this before? Did you ever see anything like this before? By now, what happened? All the women that were there in the house, they had crowded around Ivan. They had gathered around Ivan. The woman at the table who was sad, she also joined him. The men stand aside and watch. So only the women were there, while the men were standing aside and they were watching whatever was happening. Woman 2 said, how did you turn the leaves into gold? She takes a coin from Ivan's hand and examines it. How beautiful this looks. So the second woman asked Ivan that, how did you do that? What did you do, using which the leaves changed to gold? She took the gold from Ivan's hand. She looked at it and she said that it is so beautiful. Ivan said that you can take the others too. If you want, you can take the other gold coins too. And he offered the lady more gold coins. Now the other women in totality who were there inside his house, they also said that let us also have a look at what he is doing. Now the women, they were fighting to catch a glimpse of the gold coin. So glimpse, just a look. The women were fighting with each other just to look at that gold coin. And in the jostling means elbowing. Imagine yourself going to some place which is very crowded. How do you make your way through it? You elbow people. So jostling, using your elbows to just push people apart. So in this jostling, Ivan was also pushed back. Ivan said that, why are you fighting? I will give you more gold coins if you want. So he takes a bag from his pocket and flings it open. So he took out a bag from his pocket and he just threw it open in front of the ladies. A large number of gold coins, they just flung onto the ground. They just fell onto the ground. The women, they ran so that they could pick up the coins, falling over each other in excitement. So they were so excited that they were falling over one another. Now one of the women who was there in the crowd and she had her hands full of gold, she turned to Ivan and said, you are not such a fool after all, Ivan. You are a man of wonders. So the third woman said to Ivan that you are not a fool. You are a man of wonders. You are a man who had magical powers in himself. Now the men who have until now been standing apart look increasingly interested. One of them goes to Ivan. So the men who were there, they also seemed interested in what Ivan was doing. So one of them approached Ivan and said in a very confidential tone, confidential, something which is to be kept a secret. So he asked Ivan that, where did you get all this gold from, Ivan? Ivan said that these gold coins are for the ladies, not for you. As they speak, another man joins them. So while Ivan and the first man were talking, there was another man who joined them. He asked Ivan, what about us? Show us some magic tricks too. So they also requested Ivan to show them some magic trick. Okay. So Ivan said, I'll show you something as interesting. Give me some more leaves. So the three men in the crowd go out and return with some leaves. They give them to Ivan. Ivan proceeds to chant the magic words. So Ivan said, no problem, I will show you something very interesting. Just get me some more leaves. So he asked Ivan asked the men to get him more leaves. So to the three men, he said that return. The three men, they went out and they returned back with some leaves. They gave it to Ivan and Ivan chanted his magic words. No more swaying on the branch, no more drying under feet to crunch. Every leaf that I see, a singing soldier it shall be. So the soldiers appeared as soon as he chanted this magical spell and they started playing a tune on their band. The men were very surprised when they looked at it and they looked at the march past that the soldiers did, and the women also watched it very excitedly. This trick was even better than the last one, Ivan. The soldiers will be useful for our wedding plans. So Ivan was told by the third man that this trick, with the help of which he changed the leaves to soldiers, was even more interesting than the first trick. And he said to Ivan that this way we will have the musical soldiers on every wedding that we host. Ivan said, yes, we can celebrate with music of the drums throughout the night. So he said that the entire night these soldiers will play music for us. But for now, I must take them back. So he said that now it is over and I need to take these soldiers back. Now, the moment Ivan was talking to these men about the soldiers and taking them back, Simeon and Taras also joined the gathering and they heard Ivan chanting that magical spell related to the soldiers. So he said, no more pipe, no more drum, no more marching tharam tharam. Every soldier that I see, now a leaf he must be. So the soldiers vanish and Ivan leaves for the adjoining room. So the soldiers also went away from there and Ivan went to the room that was next to the room in which he was doing all this magic. The crowd started discussing this very excitedly, and Simeon and Taras, they were standing there puzzled. They did not understand what they just saw. So Simeon talked to Taras and he said, yes. Where did the soldiers come from? Did the Tsar send them to me? One of the women in the group behind them responds, no, they were Ivan's soldiers. They were playing wonderful tunes for us. So Simeon, when he looked at the soldiers, he asked if those soldiers were sent by the emperor for Simeon. But then there was a woman who was standing in the group behind who spoke that no, the soldiers are not of you, but these are Ivan's soldiers who were playing wonderful tunes for us. Simeon was very startled. He was very shocked and he said, soldiers playing tunes? What soldier plays tunes? And then he mutters in irritation. He started saying something to himself with a lot of irritation. He said, what would Ivan know about the use of soldiers? It would take a man of the army to know to use them. So Simeon just muttered to himself that how would Ivan get to know about the use of soldiers? It is only the man of army, a man who works for the army, a man who works with the army, who would be able to understand the true value of the soldiers. Now Taras notices the gold coins in the woman's hand and he says, are those gold coins I see in your hands, ladies? Where did you get them from? So Taras asked the ladies this question when he saw them going out of the palace with gold coins in their hands. Okay. The fifth woman replied that it was Ivan who gave them to us. He has a lot of these gold coins. Now Ivan comes back and he causes a flutter among the ground. Flutter means very quickly he spoke something to the crowd. He said, "Dinner is served, please help yourselves." Now everybody who was there, they began to leave for the dining room where they could have their food, but only Simeon and Taras and Ivan, the three brothers, were there in the room. Simeon asked Ivan, were they your soldiers? Ivan does not answer anymore. He is busy guiding his guests to dinner. Where did they come from? So Simeon continued to ask him questions. He first asked Ivan that if they actually were his soldiers or not. Then yes, so Ivan did not answer that. He was simply busy telling the guests where to go for their dinner. And then Simeon asked him, "Where did you get these soldiers from?" Ivan said, "Why do you ask? Do you need them for a wedding party?" So Ivan said, "What is your problem? Why are you asking me about your soldiers? Do you want them for some wedding party?" Simeon said, "Why do you mean wedding party? With soldiers, you can win a kingdom for yourself." So Simeon says that, "What do you mean? I don't want the soldiers for a wedding party." And he starts laughing. He said that if I have soldiers, I can fight against or for a kingdom all by myself. Okay. Ivan says, "Yes. Is that true? Why didn't you tell me that before? You can have as many as you want." So Ivan, again, we've seen how much he loved his brothers. So he said, "Is it so? Why to worry? You should have told me before and I would have given you as many soldiers as you wanted." Then came Taras. "Where did you get all the gold from? If I had made money, I would invest it in businesses and make rich gains. I could become the richest man in earth." So then came Taras and he said that, "Where did you get all the gold coins from? If I had all these gold coins, I'm going to make sure that I invest further these gold coins and that will make you very rich." So he said that with the help of you, I can actually become the richest person of the world. Ivan said that, "Don't worry, I will give you as much gold as you want." Now Taras told him that, "I want 3 sacks full of gold coins." Ivan said, "No problem, I will give you 3 sacks of gold and Simeon 1,000 soldiers." So this is what he has decided to give to both his brothers. "Come back if you need more." And in addition to it, he also told his brothers that, "Please come back if you need either of these things more." Taras said, "Okay, yes." Okay, so the narrator says that the fool that Ivan was, he did not know the soldiers fought for kingdoms and that the gold could be anything but a plaything. Meanwhile, Simeon captured many a kingdom with the help of his soldiers, and Taras invested all the gold in businesses and made more money. But in due course, both of them went back to Ivan. So what happened? Then first narrator tells us that Ivan was a fool and he did not understand that you can use the money to buy something, plus you can take the soldiers, obviously. So yes. So he was not aware that the money can be used to buy anything and the soldiers can be used to fight for any kingdom for that matter. Now, in this meanwhile, what happened? Simeon used his soldiers, he captured the kingdom, and Taras also invested that gold and got a lot of money in return. But after a period of time, both the brothers came back to Ivan once again. Now the changeover. So the scene shifts to Ivan's house again. Taras and Simeon, they are seen in serious discussion. So they were very seriously discussing something when Ivan comes, and he was surprised to see both of them. Ivan said, "Why have you come back to me? Are you not happy now? Simeon even conquered a kingdom." So Ivan said that, "Now why did you come? You have a kingdom to yourself. What do you need now?" Simeon said, "Yes, I did conquer a kingdom and I can live very well, but I have no money to care for my soldiers." So he said, "I have kingdom, I have soldiers, but I have no money with the help of which I can take care of, I can take care of my soldiers." Taras, on the other hand, said that I have a lot of money and I need some soldiers who can help me guard my money. I have come to ask you to give me some soldiers so that they can take care of my money. Ivan very firmly with a lot of strictness and with a lot of, strictness and anger in his voice, he said that I am not going to give you more soldiers. Taras said, "Why would not you give us any soldiers? You said that you will if we need more." Ivan said that soldiers kill people. So why did Ivan not wish to give them any soldier? Because according to him, the soldiers kill people. He said that a few days ago, I saw a woman who was crying bitterly over a coffin. So there was a woman who was crying very bitterly, very badly on, a coffin. And when we asked her who had died, she told me that Simeon had killed her husband at war. So when that woman was asked who had died, Ivan was told that it was her husband and that it was Simeon's army only that had killed the husband. So he looks accusingly at Simeon. Accusingly, with a lot of blames, in his head, he looked at Simeon. He said that I thought soldiers were for music and celebration, but your soldiers killed a man. Simeon, in a rage, he got very angry. He said that you don't know, you are a fool. Soldiers are meant to conquer kingdoms. They are meant to take kingdoms. Ivan was unmoved. It did not affect him. He said there is no excuse to kill a person ever. Taras says, "Make more sacks of gold then." So Taras told Ivan that if you cannot give soldiers, then give me more gold. Ivan said, "No, I am not going to give you any gold either." Taras got angry and said, "Why won't you, you fool?" Ivan said that you had gold pieces and with the help of your gold, you took away some poor children's cows. So he said that using your gold, you took away the cows of the old, two poor children. That cow or those cows were their source of milk, but then you bought it from their mother and you gave them 3 pieces of gold in return of it. Now they are begging for milk. I thought, Ivan said to Taras, that you wanted to play with gold, but you put it to such bad use, so I will not give you any more. He said this and he walked away from there, leaving Simeon and Taras shocked and angry. Taras said, "What a fool Ivan is." Simeon says there is no point in arguing with him. We cannot make him understand. So I will tell you what we can do. You give me half your money and to take care of my soldiers, and I will give you half of my soldiers to guard your money. That will solve our problem. So Simeon said that arguing with Ivan is not going to solve our problem. We'll do one thing. So Simeon said that I will give you my half soldiers so that they can look after your money, and you give me half your money so that that money can be used to take care of the soldiers. That will solve our problems. Taras said, that's true. It will actually solve all our problems. So they leave from there and they were very relieved. They were happy that they reached a conclusion. So my dear students, what did we read in the third scene? We read how the two brothers were given soldiers and gold by Ivan. Simeon used those soldiers to conquer a kingdom, and Taras made more and more money using it. But once again, they came back to Ivan. Why did they come back to Ivan? Because Taras wanted soldiers who could look after all the money he had earned, and Simeon wanted money so that his soldiers can be looked after. Ivan refused to help them on the grounds that they had used the soldiers and the gold coins for a wrong purpose. They failed to make him understand anything, and Ivan went away. So both Simeon and Taras decided that they will divide their soldiers and money amongst themselves. Simeon will give half his soldiers to Taras to take care of his money, and Taras will give half of his money to Simeon so that he can look after his soldiers. So now I am going to tell you in my next lecture what happens in scene 4. So I'll see you all now in the next video. Thank you.